really exciting, right? And really passionate about something. And you're going to bring your full self into it. So now we're going to use the splash, everybody. Okay. So for this one, it's going to look like this. Big splash. Boom. And then we're going to add a crescendo, right? And sometimes life builds and builds and builds. So in order to add a crescendo, everybody take your left hand, hold it up, have the back of your hand facing me, and then just start to vibrate your left hand. Okay, this is going to make this sound more intense. And now with your face, look a little unstable. And the more unstable you look, the more intense it'll be. I want to see you on the Zoom screens. All right, everybody, that video's on for this one. All right. And then a big release with your right hand. Come over and wham, grab the sound. Okay, let's do this. Here we go. Oh, man, I wish you could all see the live audience here. It's pretty awesome. All right, here we go. And all right, brilliant, everybody. I got a little carried away there, my friends. So I think we got this in a second. All right, my friends. All right, so awesome. Now, what's kind of cool, everybody, is as you notice, as a conductor, you hear the music in your head before it's created. And in life, that's kind of the way things work as well. So there's a conductor, his name's Alan Gilbert, and he said something that really caught my attention. The folks, you can all have a seat if you like to. Thanks for being amazing. All right. So there was a conductor named Alan Gilbert who was the conductor of the New York Philharmonic Orchestra, and he said something that really rocked my world. He said, the upbeat is the preparation for any event. Is that cool? We are at the upbeat of Movement Maker Virtual right now, right? This is the upbeat of this event. We're just kicking this off right now, folks. He said the upbeat is the preparation for any event. And I started thinking, what if we could use this metaphor of the upbeat, which has multiple meanings. We can think about an upbeat person. We can think about the upbeat in relationship to music. But what if we could take it beyond music? What if we could apply it into our everyday life? So let me ask you a question. And you can respond in the chat or live here. How many of you play sports? How many of you play sports? Enjoy athletics. All right. How many of you enjoy watching sports? All right. Let's see in the chat. All right, everybody. All right. Who enjoys? Now, this is my attempt to get everybody. I want to be inclusive here. Okay. So how many of you know someone who plays sports or know someone who enjoys watching sports? Hey, we got everybody in the house. All right. That's awesome. All right. So let's talk sports for a second. Okay. In football, the throw is the upbeat. The catch is the downbeat. All right. In basketball, the shot is the upbeat. The swish is the downbeat, right? In track and field relays, the handoff of the baton is the upbeat and the catch is the downbeat, right? Now let's take it into our everyday life, right? The way we approach what we do every single day. When we get up in the morning, when we approach a project, when we have a dream as an entrepreneur of what we want to create, the thought of what we want to create is the upbeat. What we create, downbeat, right? Talking about music, the way the band, choir, or orchestra, or marching band takes the field, or the ensemble takes the stage is the upbeat to the performance, right? And the attitude we bring to what we are invested in, what we're working on to make a difference every single day is the upbeat, how that project goes, isn't it? And what's really, really cool, actually, let me just ask you a question before I go on. How many of you woke up today? Cool. All right, we got everybody in the house. Everybody. All right, congratulations. We started off the day. So we all woke up. Now, I got to share with you something really powerful. The first thoughts we have in the morning upon waking, the very first thoughts we have in the morning upon waking literally sets up the trajectory for the rest of the day. Isn't that amazing? And when we're intentional about that, we can change the course of our day. So our first thoughts are literally the upbeat to our day. See, the way I figure this is the following, and you might want to jot this down, right? If you're taking notes at home. Our thoughts are the upbeats to our actions. Our attitude is our upbeat to any situation, right? And here's what's so empowering. We choose our thoughts and our attitude. We choose our upbeat. All right, let's go. All right. Yes, we choose our upbeat, and that is so empowering. Right? And what I want to share is what I call an upbeat mindset right now with you. And some of you may be familiar with the term growth mindset, right? Which is so amazing. And there's a researcher, a professor at Stanford University, Carol Dweck, who did the research on growth mindset. And it's fantastic. But I want to share another mindset I call the upbeat mindset. Have you ever read something that completely like blew your mind, like a research study or something, maybe a quote that came across on social media that just like completely blew your mind? Like, can you guys do this with me? If I share something with you that blows your mind, take your hands and put them over your head and just do this with me. Right, you can add sound effects. Let's do it. Yeah, I love it. All right. At home, you guys are crushing it. All right, so here we go. So hands up. If I share something, you can do this with me. All right, you guys ready? Okay. Whew. Tell you what, the first time I read this, I was like so mind-blowing. Have you guys seen that emoji on Facebook that has kind of like the brain exploding? Yeah, on your iPhone. Okay, yeah. This is what this feels like to me. Okay, you ready? Every second, the human brain takes in 11 million bits of information, but we are only conscious of 40 bits. Okay, with me. Now, if your head's scrambled at home, let me share that one more time. Every second, the human brain takes in 11 million bits of information, but we are only conscious of 40 bits. By the way, how many of you are feeling cheated right now? Like, if you're like me, I want it all. How many of you at home want it all, right? You want it all. I want all 11 million bits, but I was like, okay, if I only get 40 bits, the question I asked was this. Maybe you're asking this too. What if I could choose? What if I could choose this 40 bits? What if I could choose what I focus on? That's the miracle, folks. We can. We can choose our upbeat. And when we choose what we focus on, we begin to change our day, our week, and ultimately our destiny. We also have the power to choose our response in any situation. Hey, I'm human too, right? How many of us have ever had a time where we reacted, like we'll call it a knee-jerk reaction, and we regret it? Anybody ever with me? Other than me, anybody ever make some mistakes in life and regret? Right. Absolutely, right? And so all of this is aspirational, right? So every single day, I'm trying to become like the best version of myself, as I'm sure you are as well, right? And so I use mindful practices to help me. I meditate in the morning. I use mindful breathing practices to help me in those challenging situations, to prepare me so that I can choose my response. You know, in life, sometimes we look at our phones as a thermometer, right? When I was younger, I actually looked at the thermometer outside, but now with the phone, I kind of use my phone as a thermometer, right? And the thermometer, just on our phone, we look at the weather and it shares what the weather is. I know many of us wish we could change the weather, but that's something that we have to leave up to somebody else, right? Okay, so, but what's the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat, right? What's the difference? A thermostat allows us to literally change the weather indoors. Isn't that cool? Sometimes we've got to change the temperature. But here's an analogy I want to share with you. In life, we can choose to be a thermostat rather than a thermometer and change the weather. How many of you know somebody who can walk into a room and their energy just changes the feeling in the room? They elevate the positive energy by what they bring. How many of you know somebody like that? I know there's a lot of people in the house here. There's a lot of people at home on the screen. I know you, right? And you're the lifters. You're the lifters. How many of you also know somebody that can walk into a room and bring it down, right? By the way, both are thermostats, aren't they? Right? And the question is, who are we going to be? Who are we going to be? What difference are we going to make for the people around us? This idea of an upbeat mindset comes down to this. I want to share this idea with you. Rather than focus on what is wrong, focus on what you want to create. Rather than focus on what is wrong, focus on what you want to create. Now, folks, there's nothing wrong about identifying what's wrong. Right? That's how we make progress. Every day we might assess something like, I got to make a difference here, right? And there's nothing wrong with like focusing on what is right either. But I like to focus on the next level. That's why I focus on what you can create. And as an entrepreneur, that's what we get to do, isn't it? We get to create. So rather than focus on what is wrong, focus on what you want to create. I want you to take a moment at home, maybe for personal reflection. What is it that you want to create? What difference do you want to make? How do you want to add value and make a significant, purposeful, meaningful impact in the world with your life? What legacy do you want to leave, right? And that's when we focus on creation, That's the next level. I mean, I know lots of folks, they'll get together and they'll just complain, right? We'll complain, we'll blame. But the people that are going to make a difference in this life, they're thinking about what's the solution, what's the creation. Now, folks, I know I'm talking a lot about thinking right now, right? And our conscious mind. And a lot of this has to do with habits, doesn't it? Right? A lot of the habits of thought that we have right now actually were developed between ages 2 and 7 when we were really young. Our subconscious mind programming started then, right? And so as an adult, we want to become aware of what our subconscious mind is storing. But a lot of this is habits. How many of you have habits? We'll ask the audience here live and the audience on the Zoom screen. How many of you have habits that have served you well to lead to your current level of success? Let me see some hands. All right. You got some great habits. How many of you also, because you're all about growth, how many of you maybe want to change some habits, replace some habits, or habits stack to that next level? How many of you want to take it to the next level in your habits? Raise your hand. Awesome. You know what? Would you agree that in order to grow, we need to stretch? Everybody. All right. I'm going to ask the audience here and the audience at home, everybody go ahead and stand up, back away from your computer. And we're going to explore what it feels like to break outside of your comfort zone to create a new habit, because that's what Movement Maker Virtual is all about, is growth. Okay, so check this out, everybody. Raise your hands up. Give me some jazz hands. All right. Now take your hands and clasp them together, folks. Now take a look at your hands and notice which thumb's on top. Is it your left or right? This is going to be fun. On the count of 3, I want you to call out left or right, and then call it out with pride, like own it, left or right. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Woo! All right, folks. Now, this is a metaphor for your habits, okay? So right now, you might think about, what kind of habit do I want to change? How am I going to break outside of my comfort zone? So let's see what it feels like to get uncomfortable, everybody. Take your hands and switch out every finger so your other thumb's on top. Ooh, and you can show me with your face what it feels like. Yeah, we're seeing a little discomfort. All right. This is what it feels like to create a new habit, right? This is challenging, right? And we're seeing some folks in the chat writing about this. All right, go ahead and bring it back home. Just sigh of relief. It's amazing how that feels so much better. That's why new habits are hard to create, right? Go ahead and take your arms, folks. Let's cross them. Okay, look down at your arms. Notice which arm's on top. Is it your left or right? Okay, on the count of 3, call it out, folks. Here we go. And if you're at home, you just call it out with gusto. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I love it. Now, this is fun, folks. Take your arms and switch it up. Yeah. That's right. This can be tricky. Yeah, sir. So, now, this is always kind of fun. Now, you guys can relax for a second. Now, some folks, all of a sudden, they're feeling pretty cool because they're like, and they're looking at other people like, they're like, what's the problem? And then some people, their brain's like, this is impossible. Am I right? Okay. And some people are like, end up hugging themselves. And I'm like, awesome. Self-hug. Good. All right. Very, very good. Now, would you agree that one of the most important things in life is to show up? But would you agree that sometimes we show up like we're in the room, but we don't fully show up? Do we know people like that they're present, but they're not all in? Yeah. And I want to share that being all in makes all the difference in life, doesn't it? And I want to congratulate everybody that showed up today and is all in at Movement Maker Virtual. All right. You guys are awesome. You guys are fantastic. So what I want you to think about is, what new habits do you want to create? Right? I want you to envision leaders, people that you look up to. What are some of those habits, qualities, attributes of leaders that you aspire to be like or to become? Right? And then I want you to visualize yourself being that. See, you don't have to wait. You can choose that today. You can choose your upbeat. All right, folks in the house, you guys are going to have a seat. All right. You guys are amazing. Now, would you agree that sometimes the greatest lessons in life come from the greatest struggle? You see, yeah, I'm seeing some hands up there. For me, I have to share that some of the hardest moments in my life have led to the most growth. I need to share a story with you, but I want you to know ahead of time that this is very difficult for me to share, because it's going to take me to a place that I don't want to return to. But I'm going to share this story because it changed my life. My goal today is to provide value for you and hopefully play a role in changing your life and transforming your life's journey. See, on September 12, 2020, and you can remember what was going on around that time. And I live in Neenah, Wisconsin. I'm a professor of music at Lawrence University in Appleton, Wisconsin. And I woke up that morning and in my home with my beautiful wife, Marilee Arau, who's on the Zoom screen right now, so at home. And I woke up that morning looking forward to going for a swim in our swimming pool. Because I live in Wisconsin, you can imagine the pool's not open all year, right? Unless we're going to go like ice fishing in it or something at some point, right? So it's only open from like May to the end of September. It was September 12, 2020. So and I travel a lot, speaking all around the United States and all around the world. So I have a very busy schedule, which I love. But every day I'm home, I want to treasure getting to swim. And so when I woke up that morning, I was looking forward to it. But when I looked outside, it was dark, dreary, and it was cold for a September day. It was about 40 degrees. And it was windy. And to top it off, it was raining. And it wasn't just like raining lightly. It was a Wisconsin deluge. You know what I'm talking about? Like the buckets of like, and I looked outside, shoot, I'm not going to be able to go for a swim. So instead I made some tea or coffee that morning and did a morning meditation. And then I got out a notebook. How many of you became more introspective or reflective during the pandemic? Like during the shutdowns? And I sure did. And I really dove deep into mindfulness and journaling. And so I got out a notebook and I started journaling. Because it was September 12, 2020, I thought about the day before. Well, I didn't journal about the day before. I went back to 9/11, September 11, 2001. And you see, on that day, I was a middle school band director in Loveland, Colorado, in my 5th year of teaching. When I drove to school that day, I had no idea that my life was about to change and our lives were about to change forever. I got to school and walked into the front doors and went into the front office to check my mailbox to see if there was any new mail there. And the principal of the school said, "Matthew, I just heard something really bizarre on the radio. I heard somebody just flew a plane into one of the towers in New York City." And some of you, if you remember that day, we didn't get news as fast as we do now. And it was pretty sketchy in the beginning. We really didn't know what had happened immediately. So I went into the band room and I turned on the television, just me, turned on the television, and I saw the most horrific sight I'd ever seen in my life up to that point. I realized it wasn't just a small little plane that went off course. You all remember the sight. About 10 minutes later, my first students started walking into the room, 6th graders, 11-year-old children. Many of them had their instruments with them, ready to play music, but when they saw it was on TV, we just set our instruments down and we didn't play. We just watched the news happen in real time before our very eyes in silence. And at the end of that first class, together, we saw the first tower crumble in flames. And we had no words. And then the next 6th grade band students came in and just watched the news in real time. At the end of that second class, we saw second tower crumble in flames. And we had no words. Then I had a planned period in lunch, followed by 2 7th grade bands and 2 8th grade bands. Well, the 7th graders started coming into the room. They saw the TV was on, and there was one student. She said, "Can we turn the TV off? We've been watching the news in every single class, and it's really hard. Can we get our instruments out? Can we make music? Can we play today?" And I said, "You know what? That is a great idea." I turned the TV off, got our instruments out, and we started warming up. And because it was the beginning of the year, we were at the beginning of this music method book. And it turns out that at the beginning of this book, number 6 in the book, was the first piece that teaches the 3/4 time signature, 3 beats in a measure. But it was also a piece that touched our hearts that day. The name of the piece is America. And the words are, "My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing." We began to play that, just with the instruments that sound like this. Da, 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 da. Played America over and over and over again. That's how we played that class. And same thing with the next seventh graders. And then the eighth graders came in, and it just so happened that we had a piece of music in their folder already. It was an arrangement, a piece that I think was the most appropriate piece for that day. It just turned out Amazing Grace. We played Amazing Grace. Da, 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 da. Played Amazing Grace over and over and over and over again. You see, on that day, my students and I came to understand the true superpower of music in a way that none of us had ever experienced before. And I'd been involved with music my entire life. But on that day, I truly came to understand the phrase that said, when music fails, or when words fail, music speaks. When words fail, music speaks. And this, as I was reflecting on that day, I started to make a to-do list. How many of you make to-do lists at home, right? We got busy lives. We got a lot we want to accomplish in our time here. We make to-do lists, but sometimes those to-do lists feel like check boxes, right? Have to-do lists. But something in my mind switched that morning. I think it was reflecting on 9/11, all we've been through in the pandemic. And in that moment, my to-do list changed because of one word. I added just a 3-letter word to it. That word is get. And now my to-do list read something like this. I get to email Sarah. I get to call Mark. I get to study my music. I get to prepare to teach my classes. I get to prepare my next talk to inspire, make a difference. And then I wrote something that I was surprised. I wrote, I get to dance in the rain. And I get to go for a swim. And even though it was freezing cold and raining and windy outside, I put on my swim shorts and I braved the cold. I went outside and I went to the edge of the pool. And because I said I would, I did a little jig. It was like 3 seconds, folks, okay? And then I dove into the pool and I'm swimming in the pool and I'm thinking about I'm thinking about all that I get to do in my life. I get to have this breath. I get to have this day. I get to go for a swim. And then I thought about all the things that I get to do. And as I was thinking about all that I get to do, I thought about another powerful word, yet, the power of yet that Carol Dweck shares. And why is yet so powerful? Well, yet's powerful because if somebody says to you, or you feel like I can't do something, you have a limiting belief, and you think I can't do it. You know what you do? You add the word yet. No, you can't do it yet, right? And yet is about the future. Yet is about hope, isn't it? Well, why is get like rocking my world? Well, I'll tell you why. Because get is about the present moment. Get is about right now, which is the only moment that's ever guaranteed, isn't it? Right now, folks. Right now, we get to be together. We get to be together from all around the world today at Movement Maker Virtual, right? We get to be together. And I got out of that swimming pool and I thought, what if I could live my life with the spirit of get from now on? And I took those 3 letters, G-E-T, and I signed meaning to each one of those letters. And here it is, folks. G is for gratitude. How many of you have ever felt gratitude in your heart, but not shared it openly with somebody else? I vowed that I would never keep it to myself anymore. I'm going to share gratitude openly. I'm going to feel gratitude. And the neat thing about gratitude, folks, is when you focus on gratitude, even if you could just find a little pinprick of light in the darkness, you just focus on that one thing of gratitude, your mind will start to focus on that, and then you'll start to see more and more that you're grateful for. E is for enthusiasm. To live my life with enthusiasm. Can you tell? As I was writing my book, Upbeat, I researched the origin of the word enthusiasm, and I was so taken by this meaning of the word, I want to share it with you because it's worth it. It's powerful. Enthusiasm comes from the Greeks. Thus is God. En is within. Asm is essence. See, enthusiasm means essence of God within us. If you knew that the essence of God is within us, the divine spirit is within us, living with the spirit within us, wouldn't that change how you lived every moment of your life? And T is for treasure. To treasure the beautiful people in our lives, to treasure our loved ones. But what I also recognized during the pandemic is that many of us had forgotten that we're a treasure. We're givers, aren't we? We're givers, right? I'm a teacher, a speaker, a lifter, an inspirer. And I'm giving. Sometimes we forget. Let me know in the chat if sometimes you've forgotten along the way that you're a treasure. because each one of you is. And I'm here to share with you that you have a beautiful, shining light to shine brightly in this world. You have a purpose for being here. And as I was thinking about GET, gratitude, enthusiasm, treasure, I want to share with you how you can integrate this into your life. From now on, think about even the most mundane things that you do. Dishes. I get to do the dishes. I have dishes. I get to turn on the sink and get fresh, clean drinking water. How amazing is that when over 2 billion people in the world don't have access to clean drinking water? And now let's talk about us, entrepreneurs in the house. How many entrepreneurs are in the house? Let's see this. All right, dreamers, aspirers, difference makers, significant makers, right? You guys are purpose-driven, right? What does it mean to be an entrepreneur? And why is it a get? Well, we get to create our own schedule, don't we? We get to live our life on purpose, right? We get to be intentional about using our gifts and our light to make a significant difference in this world. What do you get to do as an entrepreneur? What makes you excited about getting up every single morning? Share in the chat. What are you excited about? What brought you here today? What are your dreams? What do you want to create? What do you get to do? You know, one of the most beautiful things about being an entrepreneur is you get to choose your freedom. You get to choose your freedom. You get to choose who you work for, who you work with, who you support. You get to choose your passion, your purpose, and your dream. And that's really what Movement Maker Virtual is all about, isn't it? We are here today to share ideas together, all together. We are better together, growing, learning from each other. And one thing I want to share with you folks is, as I've lived and shared the power of GET around the country and around the world, folks have adopted this mindset, the power of GET. And I've heard feedback from people about how it's changed their lives. One teacher shared with me that the power of GET changed her life. And I said, how? I said, well, I wear a lot of hats. I'm a mom, a wife, I'm an elementary music teacher. I got about 600 students. And I got 3 daughters. And sometimes it can just feel like life is just a bunch of check boxes. Even reading a bedtime story to one of my daughters has felt that way. Like, I just got to get it done, get her to bed. But after she read my book, and chapter 2 is the power of GET, she said, you know what? Now I realize that I get to read a bedtime story to my daughter. Because in a few short years, she's not going to want me to. So I need to treasure every moment I get to have with her. How can GET play an important role in your life? And sometimes on those hard days, it might be difficult to think about life as a series of GETs. But if you can find just one thing, I want to thank you for your time today. I'm the author of Upbeat, and I would love to share a free PDF of chapter 2 from my book with everybody here today. And we're going to share a link in the chat. I'd love for you to share your name and your contact info, because I want to stay connected, right? This is all about growing together. And if there's any way I can serve you as a speaker, I'm also a coach, and the Upbeat movement has spread globally. And so if you want to be a member of the Upbeat movement, I also want to encourage you to join my Facebook group called Upbeat Leaders. And members from all over the world. And every single day, we post positive and encouraging messages to lift each other up. It's collaborative, and it's really an incredible space. It's real, it's authentic, it's vulnerable, and it touches people's heart. Many people make sure they go there every single day to be inspired. So this has been amazing. I cannot believe how cool this is. Can we give it up for UnLeashU now? And Michael Faber? This is amazing. And it's so incredible. And for the folks at home, thank you for having some fun, getting out of your seat and being all in, and not just showing up, but showing up. Let's do this. Great job, buddy. Great job.